What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Interviewing the Affluent. My name is Kwame Barbour, and I'm the founder and CEO of Affluent Clothing. We are a mission-based streetwear brand that promotes the idea that wealth is a matter of inspiration. While there are many different ways to describe affluence, one may believe that it all ties back to wealth and how we express our wealthiness. Affluential clothing, however, would like to redefine affluence and showcase affluence as a mindset rather than a lifestyle. Through these interviews, we hope to expand the world's perspective on what the word wealth means. With that being said, I'm honored to be joined today by the Assistant Dean for Student Success at Bellarmine College, Mr. Pejay Lucky. PJ, I appreciate you for being here today.
Thank you for the privilege, man.
For those who don't know who you are, can you just tell us a little bit about yourself and how you would best describe your role?
Definitely. So, PJ Lucky, I've been working at Fairfield University for the last 8 years, it'll be 9 years in July. And I'll just share that I've been very, very passionate about higher education. I've been in higher education for maybe over 13 years now, something like that. 13, 14 years. Man, time's flying.
We won't do the math.
We won't do the math. But with that said, I have a passion for others, specifically relationships, and how those relationships are able to help navigate people toward success, passion, and vocation. So my new role, which I'm just started actually last month, the Assistant Dean for Student Success, is an amazing opportunity to be able to serve students at our new Bridgeport campus, pretty much really navigating them toward a holistic education and getting them the resources they need to leave Fairfield University, Bellarmine, and go on and set the world on fire, man.
Got you. You talked about being a man for and with others early on. You know, that's one of the Jesuit values that we practice here. I think that's definitely one of the values that was instilled with me as early as high school. So just talking about values, if there's one value that you would live by, what might that be?
You know, can I give more than one?
Go ahead.
And it's funny. I believe that so many times people ask you who you are, and a lot of times people will associate who they are with a specific identity or ethnicity, but I believe you are your values. So for me, even when I hear that question, who are you, there's 3 values that I've really worked to embody. Is character, integrity, and loyalty.
Okay.
And those have been instilled into me since I was a very young man, pushing me to really just be great, man. And when I say be great, to really be a servant of others and humanity, which in a sense really helps serve myself and brings us all to a greater place and a greater community.
Got you. You talked about being great and how you can do that, but what does that greatness look like for you?
Man, here we go. Let's go. What does that greatness look like
We
for
gotta
me?
talk about it. You know, not everybody understands. Not everybody has the same experiences.
Definitely. So, if I would say what does greatness look like to me, I believe greatness is truly mastering in a specific area that you serve in, which benefits the greater good of everyone. So to me, greatness is Michael Jordan, not LeBron James. Another podcast for that one, right? But it really, and the reason I'm serious about that though, and the reason I say that though is, I've studied both guys, and one thing that I truly like about Michael Jordan, if anybody has watched the documentary, the Last Dance, you'll see that one thing that he says, I just want everyone to know what it's like to win. So when he talks about his teammates, he's like, I want every one of these guys to feel what I feel in these moments of winning, and to be at this high level in this high place. So to me, that's putting others above yourself. And we know Michael Jordan, he's a complex individual,
Right.
but I think that whole aspect of serving others, pushing others, in order for everyone to really live or play, in Michael Jordan's case, at a level of mastery, in whatever field you're in.
Got you. So for those who aren't quite at that point yet of serving others, what would that greatness look like for yourself or within yourself?
I think that's a great question. I believe it starts now, though, right? Michael Jordan wasn't Michael Jordan, the same person he was when he finished with his 6 rings, not 5 rings.
Right.
But he wasn't who he was. It took time. It took work. It took patience. I believe that greatness is already in everyone, and I think it's for us to cultivate it, right?
Oh.
And I believe that we're able to cultivate it by learning, studying, serving. And when I talk about serving, I'm really big when it comes to serving leadership. I've seen how I've learned so much from serving others, and I didn't even realize that I was learning different skills and different opportunities. So for me, part of my experience has been like, I mean, Carmen, you and I talk about this. I grew up in the church, right?
Right.
So in our church, I've served from, we call them porters, like from ushering to, I mean, I've been a sound guy to cleaning to whatever I could do, right, to help and assist.
You can run the church yourself.
Man, you can't do it by yourself. But I know where things go. I know where things go. But I say that is, I didn't realize as I was put in these different roles that I was learning about how to really function in any field. So wherever you put me at, I'm going to work to do the best I can in that specific area,
Right.
and then be able to train somebody else on how to do it, right?
Right.
And then I think about, like, at church, there's a lot of public speaking. You don't even think about it, where like, oh, go up. We want you to, it's Youth Sunday. We want you to lead the service today. And you don't think as a youth that you're developing public speaking skills, but you're in front of crowds. You're learning how to speak. You're learning how to project your voice. So there's those skills that you learn, even when I talk about porting or ushering, right? You're learning how to greet others and treat others as they're coming into the room, which, again, is interpersonal skills,
Right.
which starts with developing relationships, which really has cultivated me to where I am now when it comes to how do we build relationships? How do we start relationships? How do you start a conversation with someone, right? So many people, I think, especially with the pandemic, went backwards in the sense when it came to, like, being these shells of people. And
Most
just,
definitely. I think we're still afraid of going outside again.
right? And just rather shooting the text messages, when I'm like, I'm all for technology, love it. But sometimes you need to pick up the phone and talk to somebody, or FaceTime,
Right.
or, but just, you need to hear somebody's voice, because you're able to truly hear what someone may be going through. I mean, I've seen people put, like, how you doing? I'm good. Now,
Are you telling the truth?
are you telling the truth? Or where are you good at, right? And you can't hear the tone of that person. But there's times where you hear somebody like, I'm good, and you're like, okay, oh, they're good, if you hear the voice.
Yeah.
And then you hear them say I'm good, and you're like, yo, this person is not okay right now. They need some help.
Right.
But with that said, going full circle, I believe that through serving, you get to know others, and through, no matter where you're serving at, you learn more about relationships. And I believe that through relationships, you're able to help transform people's lives as well as transform your own.
I like the point you made. I think they also go back to, like, self-awareness and reflection as well. In my last semester, I've had a lot of my old residents come up to me and just reflect on some of their not so good times, and really just talk about the patience that I've had with them, or the different conversations that we had that impacted them in a way that I didn't think really mattered to them.
Mm-hmm.
So just taking the time to think about the things that you say to people, the impact that might have on them. There was also something else that you brought up that I wanted to touch on.
Can I say something about that,
Go
though?
ahead.
So I was an RA as well when I was in undergrad. And I think RA is a resident assistant, for those that are listening that may not know. And you just never know, like you just mentioned, you never know what you did that helped welcome somebody, that helped somebody's transition, somebody's college experience to be great. And there were times where I had no idea the impact that I had as an RA until, like, I remember one time I'm in Shelton, Connecticut, and I'm at a diner, and one of my residents walked in, and I mean, I always said, what's up? I always checked on them.
Right.
But, like, this resident was like, hey, PJ, what's going on? And you're like, oh, man, that was impact, because he felt so comfortable with the conversations, just the hello, that when he saw me outside the campus, this man was like, man, PJ, what's up? And just so you saw a spirit of, like, gratitude and appreciation. Just for being connected. So
I was having this conversation with Aaron the other day, actually. He was helping me prep for my speech. He was just talking about not really knowing, again, not knowing the impact you have on others. He felt like in his time as an SRA, sometimes he gave students a reason to keep going. Like, not even academically. It's just sometimes students don't really want to come out of their room. But just seeing a friendly face inspires them to go out and socialize more.
Oh, definitely, man.
But the point that you made earlier that I wanted to get back to is just not being able to do anything by yourself, and just having a team. I feel like not only do we limit ourselves due to fear of failure and social comparison, we look at the point that someone is at now and not how they got there or the smaller lessons that they learned along the way.
Mm-hmm.
So I definitely appreciated that you brought that up because I feel like if we just focus on one thing at a time, we get 1% better each day, each week, whatever it might be, we will eventually become that holistic person that we were aiming to be originally. Moving forward, though, what would you do with your life today if you knew you couldn't fail?
We doing what we're doing right now.
I've been getting that answer a lot. I think it's definitely a hard question because we just enjoy the process of things.
Yeah. Well, and what I'll say, and I say that very confidently because my journey has been like so different. As in, like, I mean, my undergraduate major was audio engineering, right? Like, I wanted to be Diddy back in undergrad. Really, that was like my goal in life. I'm just joking. That's my goal in life. But it's one area that I really liked. I'm like, I'm gonna do this full time. But through my undergraduate experience, when I talk about relationships, right? I was a part of like every club, every organization, started my own organizations. I was able to see like, man, through starting organizations, through connection, through relationship, I'm able to support different students. And for me, I think about even undergrad, my friends and I, we started a Bible study.
Oh,
And through that Bible study, like we created community where we had, let's say, it was crazy. We had different times. But my freshman year, we had Bible study at midnight. And let's say we had, sounds crazy, right? There was Thursday night at midnight. And,
that's dedication.
but this, I'm going to say on average, we had like 35 people at midnight, which is crazy to me.
Crazy to me, but
Yeah, because what happened was people just found community. Like, I mean, like sometimes we would have snacks and stuff like that, but like it was people just wanted to come together. We talked about the Bible, but also we developed friendships. So people just came together. Bible study may be over, but everybody just talking, saying what's up
Right.
and chilling. And you would think on a college campus, most people are like, it's Thursday night, oh, we're going to party. But literally, it's indescribable when I think back about it. I'm like, and then we changed the time, right, next semester, and we got a little bit less than what we got at midnight. It's crazy. I mean, it's just crazy to think how things worked. But what I was saying with that was, it just when it comes to connection and relationship, I've been able to see how through my thread in my journey, it's brought me to where I am now. So when it comes to what I'm doing now as assistant dean for student success at a Bridgeport campus, Bridgeport, the city where I grew up at, Bridgeport, the city that cultivated me, with the community that I talk about, that I served in, to me, I know that this is like the destined place for me to be at. And I discerned and took a lot of reflection on, you know what, maybe I should do something else, maybe I should do that. But I kept feeling the unction to go forward with this process. And at the same time, I'm in grad school for religious education. So, like, when it comes to, like, not failing, in my head, I'm like, hey, everybody has different thoughts or feelings, but I'm like, this is where I've been led to and unctioned to, and I know that I can't fail going this way. It's like this, I'm not out of where I should be. Like, I'm in vocation, and everybody may not accept that piece, but when your passion and your career collide for your life's purpose, I'm living in it, which is like a blessing. it's
poetic almost. You said you can't fail. We know that failure is a possibility, but if the mindset is that you can't fail, how do you stay inspired and motivated when you do these things?
Man, it's an everyday thing. I think that one of the biggest principles that folks have to really think about is consistency, right? Consistency and discipline. And I think so many times people don't have those everyday disciplines, that they don't realize how doing something every day really does matter. And I say that for me, prayer, meditation, and reading has been a part of my life. Like, it's like an everyday thing. If I miss out on one of those things, I could feel that I'm off in a certain area.
Uh-huh.
And I say those three things for me prepare my mind for the day and for the days to come. So I think that there has to be a discipline that really prepares you not to fail. Like, what is it? Success follows a prepared mind.
Okay.
That's an affirmation I've heard many times. but you really do have to prepare for that next step. I mean, like every test in school that you gotta take, right? You gotta study. And I think that people think tests stop happening once you graduate college, but no, this each level is higher and higher. Where it's like, no, you're gonna have tests in life, but are you preparing for it? Are you preparing for the next challenge, the next journey that you have to face? What strategies have you learned from the last journey? And man, I can keep going on this, but I'll slow down. But I just believe that through every experience, there really is a teacher, right? And it's up for us to see, okay, well, did I actually learn from that teacher and that experience?
Right.
So many times people will go through experience and not learn anything. Well, then you didn't gain. That's like staying. You going to your fifth year in college. Nothing against that if you have to go to your fifth year, but if you have to go to your fifth year because you got Fs, did you gain? I don't know. in those classes you got an F in, you probably didn't gain.
And then in those experiences, we can learn,
You
but
can.
not learn what was intended to be taught.
Yes. Well, if you keep taking that same class and you keep getting Fs, you didn't learn. But if you got Fs and you say, you know what, maybe I need to change my major. Maybe this is not the journey that I need to take. Maybe I was looking at someone else, and this is speaking from my experience. I was again, when I talk about my journey, again, I was audio engineer for bachelor's, but then I did a year of electrical engineering, which was terrible for me. Right? I quit the program. I didn't fail out. I just quit. I'm like, yo, this is not for me. Because I'm working hard and it's just not working. Like I'm not working hard for a C, man. It's just if I'm studying all night, yeah, and I'm getting a C. Something's not clicking for me. And I think my reasoning for going toward it was, I was saving my money at that time. I was like, oh man, electrical engineers get paid a lot of money. So you know what? Let me just go to grad school. I don't have a job right now. And I learned from it, but it was rough.
That's the thing. I had this conversation in other interviews, specifically with Pejay, just talking about doing things just for the sake of money.
Mhm.
His dream is music as well, and he wants to be involved with music in some way, but that's not his major.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, how do we collide our passion with money, for money,
Mm-hmm.
with our actual passions?
Mm-hmm.
Um, Going off of that, with all that you do, all the transitions that you made, starting in audio engineering and all of that, like, what do you want to be remembered for? At what point in time will you say you lived a fulfilled life?
Man, there's an old saying that says, "If I could help somebody along the way, my living won't be in vain." Right. So for me, it's what I want to be remembered for is just the people that I've helped. Um, yeah, man, nothing more than that. Nothing. Like you said, I think that when it's my time to transition out of here, again, no matter how much money I have and leave to someone or to people, I think even having that much money to leave, to me, it's only benefit if it's going towards somewhere that's going to help somebody else.
Right.
You know what I mean? But I really just think about, I want to be remembered for how I served, man. Going back to servitude, like how I served. When you think about PJ, I want you to think about a servant, man. It's funny, I'm laughing because I'm thinking about Coming to America. When you think about trash, you think about Hakeem. I don't know if you ever seen that part.
Absolutely.
But that's what I think about. A servant to my local as well as global community, man.
Well, you've done some of that locally, at least. How do you think you can increase your value?
That's great that you say that. Actually, I'll just share. And I know even right before we hopped on, you heard me talking to a mom of a young man I just started mentoring about 3 weeks ago.
Oh,
And it's amazing because he's at the age where some guys in my community started mentoring me. So the time came when I was talking with my wife, like, man, I just got to do something more. So with that said, man, right now I just want to mentor some more one-on-one mentoring of some younger guys. I've done some work, definitely the college guys, but some young guys that are in, starting off the journey in high school, maybe 8th grade, and this young man's in high school, he's a freshman in high school. And that's the time really where I had some positive, strong, godly men step in and really assist me in my journey from from filling out college applications to pushing me to do better in school, to exposing me to Broadway, to exposing me to etiquette. There was these guys that just, man, stepped in and really helped change the trajectory of my life, man.
Gotcha. Talking a little bit about that mentorship. I've done some mentoring here in my experience, but again, like I said, we don't really think about the impact that we have on students, and I feel like a lot of viewers may connect with that. So, as you start this new journey with a new mentee, where do you start? I know you talked about discipline early on
Mm-hmm.
and all the different things that your mentors have done for you at this very age, but what do you think the starting point is?
Man, that's great. Accountability. And I think different mentees may need different things, right?
Right.
But I believe it really comes down to accountability. I think for you to be a mentor, for you to mentor somebody, you should have gained in a specific area that you're mentoring them in, right? So if I can't hold you accountable to get to the point where I'm at, why am I mentoring you?
Right.
You should never. I don't believe you should ever have a mentor that's not where you are. No, that's not doing something greater than you are, or have experienced or conquered in an area that you may want to conquer in. That's like asking. Let's just keep it real. Asking somebody broke. How do you make money? Now they may know. I don't know. They may know. But can I trust you? I don't know. I like seeing fruit, man. And when I say fruit, like, I like seeing that the evidence that you
Yeah.
have been successful is something, man. So
My coach always said you can have potential, but potential means nothing if you don't do anything with it.
means nothing, man. So again, accountability. I think that's the biggest thing, and especially for men. I just think it's huge. I think it's really huge. I think, especially men of color right now, I think that we're even seeing within society, man, women are killing the game right now. Shout out to the women. With that said, I'm seeing so many men of color I feel like are getting left behind in the dust.
But why?
I think the lack of mentorship. I think the lack of support. Um, I think the lack of exposure. Uh, and and what I mean by that is, I think when it comes to men specifically, we're socialized very differently than women.
I believe you.
So we're not socialized. Many men are socialized to hold things inside, to stick to themselves, and to put on this front like they're this tough, strong person on the outward.
Right.
But they may be suffering so much on the inside. Where women are socialized to talk. Like, women are socialized to have tea parties, man. Like they're they're socialized at 3 years old. It's hey, they're playing house and having conversation, but they're developing social skills. I mean, even when we look at suicide rates, right? It's always higher when it comes to men, no matter what race is higher in men. I believe that's because, again, how we've been socialized, this image of manhood, and if folks aren't fitting into that image, they're placed in this box of not being man enough or not being masculine, and I think that that's a big issue, man. And I think that goes back to accountability, right? So if you are mentoring somebody, just because they don't fit the traditional mold of what you think or what you've seen in the media, that doesn't mean that they're not to grow in a specific area.
Right.
But I think as a mentor, you're there to hold them accountable. Say, hey, listen, you don't have to be like everybody, right? I think we see, especially in branding, and I mean, you're in business and different field. The biggest thing is what makes you different. we shouldn't be clones, right?
Right.
And I think as men, we're socialized to be a clone of somebody else that we see, rather than to be who we're meant to be.
We're trapped in the mindset,
Yeah.
no matter why that might be. Through the brand, I often say it's fear of failure, social comparison, lack of support, the different things you said. Even through men of color and distinguished gentlemen, we try to
Mm-hmm.
address these things a little bit, but it's like, how do we get away from society's view of what a man should be?
Mm-hmm.
Final question for you.
Okay.
What does affluence mean to you?
Man, what does affluence mean? It's a great question. I'm going to say affluence means a power of self-awareness.
Gotta snap for you. Gotta snap for you. A power of self awareness. Walk me through that.
So, you know, when we talk about affluence, when we talk about wealth, when we talk about even money, right? I think so many times we make it just seem like it's just this material thing or this green dollar. Um, but when I think about affluence, I think about when you have a power of self awareness or when you have a security in knowing who you are. And, and when I say who you are, like who you're meant to be, right? Man, you got me thinking about Jesuit, the Res College stuff, right? Who are you called to be?
Who am I? Whose am I?
Right? And who am I called?
To
Yeah.
be?
So when you think about, when you know who you are and you know who you're called to be, even through your journey of evolving into being a greater person, I believe that that power of being is true affluence, man. Because I think that when you're walking in that journey, when you have that self awareness, you won't look to do any harm. And I think that's a powerful principle right there, to do no harm, right? And I think it goes back to me when it comes to servitude. When it comes to having a self-awareness, you would only want others to be greater than yourself. You will only want others to have what you have and more. And you would understand that if I am gaining wealth, not just materially, but wisdom, knowledge, understanding, that I'm gaining all these things to help someone else and not just keep it to myself.
Right.
So that, to me, that's that power of self-awareness, to know that I'm meant to do this specific thing in this specific area or these specific areas in order to help the greater good of humanity, man.
And I agree with that. I feel like when we chase material wealth, sometimes we step outside of ourselves.
Definitely. I should have never been an electrical engineering major, man. I mean, it helped me to get to where I'm at, but even as I reflect on my life's journey, I'm like, man, I could have been in a master's of religious education a long time ago.
Right? But there's lessons in every failure.
Yes, there is. There's a teacher.
There's a teacher in every lesson. There's a lesson in every failure. I truly believe that failure is one of our greatest successes, and as we can see, that failure didn't stop anything. It just delayed the process a little longer. But before you get out of here, any last words for those who are listening?
Yeah, I truly believe that folks should take the time to truly, truly develop self. I think so many times folks just keep on going with life and forget about developing who they are. And they're chasing after everything that they're seeing, but they haven't stopped to heal, to strengthen themselves, to gain an understanding of where they're going. And I truly believe that folks need to find a discipline in which they can do that. So I just want to encourage folks to really take time to develop who you are, because true wealth really deals with a healthy you.
Got you, and I think that just about concludes our episode with Mr. Pejay Lucky. Pejay, thank you for being here.
Thank you, man.